Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Nathan and I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
Dave, you and I went to E3 this year.
Yes.
One of the games that we saw
Not to show off.
was Greedfall.
Yes.
This is the trailer for Greedfall. We're just going to talk about some of the things that we know about it.
Wait, it's a game made by Spiders?
It is a game made by Spiders, who are, if you know, they've been making RPGs, kind of, I would say, not to be rude, but like lower budget, right? I think it's important to have the right kind of expectation when going into a game like this. Greedfall is a game I'm interested in, partly because the style is so interesting and arresting. And there are people who really, really like the RPGs that Spiders have made, but they, you know, if you go in expecting like a BioWare or a CD Projekt Red, like size epic, that isn't what we're getting here. But it doesn't mean that it can't be a very good game on its own terms. And what Greedfall promises to be, like a really interesting mix of, it's like, as you can tell from the, this is one of the, we're just showing the trailer before we have some proper PS4 B-roll, which I'm quite excited about, Dave. That's why we're making this video.
Oh, me too.
Very inspired by kind of 17th century aesthetics, especially the hats.
Yes, but, well, not that guy so much.
No, I don't think that he was around in the 17th century, but he is to do with, let me set the scene for you.
Yeah, please do.
In Greedfall. It's kind of a colonial. I mean, there's been back and forth about whether it's inspired by colonialism, but like obviously the 17th century had lots of colonialism in it, or the 18th century, and it is about discovering a new island. So the old continent, there are various factions at play, and there is an illness on that continent, but then there is a new island that's discovered, and that's where the action takes place. This is your character here. You're actually a customizable character, the guy on the stairs, and you can be a man or a woman, and you are affiliated with the merchants faction. And you come to this you're the cousin of the kind of governor of the new island, and you come there just basically hoping to make it a success for him. And this is one of the native people, Siora, who's kind of like, he kind of refers to her in this scene as kind of like a princess, but she's kind of the daughter of the chief of these native people, and you know they're developing this relationship in terms of she wants their help because there are people who are disrupting kind of her tribe, and you are going to form relationships with various factions. This is just a little bit of footage explaining. I mean, looking at this skill tree makes me want to take notes and makes me feel anxious.
That's extensive, isn't it? That's an extensive skill tree.
Yeah, and this is kind of just some footage which is showing the kind of customization that you can do like after your main character creation, you know, in terms of like outfits and weapons and how you're going to be able to customize your look. I'm going to keep that hat on. That's all I know.
Yeah, for sure. What's going on with our character's kind of beard? He's got like is it a scar?
Oh, on that side, yeah. No, that is that's a mark. I think there is a suggestion that he has a link to the kind of the native people of this island. So he's kind of an outsider within his own faction,
right?
Which I like. And the game is, you know, talking about what kind of games Spiders make. There is action. We're going to see some combat. So it is an action RPG, but it's a game primarily about kind of reputation and diplomacy. And you're going to be able to have a companion from each of those factions, and you're going to have a relationship with them, which is kind of going to be, you know, it's going to be your way into that faction, whether they like you or not. Like I said, reputation is important, and you know, in the kind of the style of maybe like a Fallout, which I think Spiders have cited as an influence, not just new Fallout, but kind of old Fallouts as well. The idea is that you will learn about this world and discover bits about the factions, and then you will make decisions on who you'd like to be allied with and not allied with, depending on their kind of philosophy.
Okay.
Which I like.
Yeah, definitely. That's very, very interesting. And, you know, diplomacy being a key part has intrigued me. Yeah,
I know, yeah. And I think that... I mean, one of the other things about the game is that the idea is that, you know, no kind of RPG fetch quests. There's not going to be like, you know, go and collect 5 apples for us.
Big fan of that.
Or anything, yeah. So the idea is that it's all kind of story and character driven, and that the game has, they're calling it like nodal narrative, I think is the term that they use, but the idea being that... there are this complicated kind of branching of possibilities depending on the choices that you make with the various factions.
Right, got you.
We are seeing a tree come out the ground to grab that bald man.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was I was going to mention it myself.
Yeah, so there's obviously magic in this world. I don't know a ton about it. What I do know is that the native people of this island have a magic based on nature.
Right.
Probably remember that being spoken about. What we haven't seen yet, and I don't know if it's just kind of background or whether we're actually going to get to see it in the game, but this is a bit about kind of diplomacy. Look, you saw that you were using your charisma talent there to, which opened up another option. If you like, there are other ways around problems. You can also kind of try to bribe or. Make trades for certain deals as well, or you can use kind of combat. Anyway, people of the old continent have a magic based on light and shadow, which I really like. That I don't know what that could mean, but it sounds very cool. Related to light and shadow, Dave. A throwaway fact from me, but the game has a day and night cycle.
That's good, and everybody likes a day and night cycle.
Exactly. I thought, in what world would I not mention that? I mean, day and night cycle, hats, and magic based on trees.
Yeah.
I'm basically in at this point. What we're going to see now at the end is kind of a very final large boss. I don't know if it's a boss actually. Well, I guess it's got its own health bar at the top of the screen. So canonically in video games, that means it's a boss. And I've got to say, I was like I said. Expectations were set to, very much let's see what this is going to provide. But in terms of like the smoothness of the action, if the kind of RPG experience is really deep as well, this kind of looks, I think it's fair to say, better than I was kind of anticipating, because we saw it at E3 the year before as well.
Yeah.
Didn't actually see any gameplay. Greedfall is on my radar, and I hope now it's on yours as well. Do like this video if you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you think about Spider's latest RPG. Stay tuned to Access. We've got loads more coming up.
What is up, guys? Today we are talking about how exactly combat and the class systems will work in Greedfall. When creating your character, you will start out by picking one of 3 basic skill sets from one of the 3 talent trees which you can base off your play type. The warrior tree specializes in one-handed and two-handed weapons, and if you choose this tree when creating your character, you will be granted access to one-handed heavy weapons, one-handed heavy blades, and firearms from the start. You will also be looking to specialize in strength and endurance through the stats on your gear. The technical tree specializes in ranged weapons, grenades, traps, and blade coatings such as poisons. And if you pick this tree to start, you will be granted an elemental trap skill, firearm skill, and one-handed blade skill. You'll want to look for gear with accuracy and agility stats to improve. The magic tree grants you access to an array of magical spells, including offensive spells such as attacks, and defensive spells such as heals and crowd control. If you pick this tree when you jump in, you will be granted a divine magic rain, which I have absolutely no idea what this does, but we'll find out, and the stasis spell, which freezes enemies in place for a certain amount of time. And you will also gain access to one-handed heavy weapons. When gearing your character, you will want to look for mental power and willpower stats. These are just the first options you get. As you unlock more skill points to invest in the tree, you will realize the tree is completely open. If you want to do swords with spells, you can. If you want to have traps and heals, it's completely possible, as you will be able to forge the character to your playstyle. Talents will also be important in other ways, as they may grant you options beyond fighting. Various party members and factions that you meet throughout the world all have their own opinions, and some of these are against fighting. So talents will give you ways to do things such as blow out walls, eat, or even lockpick your way into the objective to avoid the combat, keeping all your party members happy. Because if they disagree with you too much, they will leave you. Speaking of parties though, your party of up to 3 characters will have a big impact on combat. Each party member has their own unique skills and combat styles, so you will want to make sure you pick members that balance with your playstyle. Or you can be like me and just get the entertaining ones and end up doing horrible in combat, but you're entertained the whole time, so it's kind of a good thing. Not really. But you know, the tactical pause is also a thing in this game. Similar to Dragon Age, you will be able to pause the game in this mode, and it freezes everything for an unlimited amount of time, where you can choose which spells to cast and where you want to cast them, or which potions you want to drink. And when you unpause all of this, they will go into effect the way you chose it, allowing you to get in depth with the planning of your moves. What talent tree will you start in Greedfall? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, hit that subscribe button for a lot more news to come.
Today is the big day, isn't it? Ready to set sail for that island everyone's talking about.
It is said our people lived peacefully until the men appeared from the sea, intent on making our lands their own.
In Greedfall, the world and your story are ever-changing based on the choices you make. You'll enter the island of Tir Freddy, not to act as an assassin or soldier. First and foremost, you are a diplomat, with all the social powers and status that come with it. You're free to explore every faction's settlement and deal with the powers that govern each. To overcome the challenges ahead, you'll need to befriend members of every faction, some of whom will journey, fight, and talk alongside you.
Your Majesty, I shall present you to the Governor. Come.
Princess, Majesty, you are most confusing, but thank you for your help.
Compose your party of 3 from anyone who's joined you so far, but choose carefully. Each companion brings something different to combat. Kurt, your loyal master of arms and mercenary of the Coin Guard Guild, makes for a great frontline warrior. Meanwhile, Afra, a talented scientist from the Bridge Alliance, specializes in ranged weaponry, such as rifles and throwable explosive files. Regardless of who you choose, be sure to regularly switch out and upgrade your companion's equipment and weapons, or you may find yourself overwhelmed in battle. During dialogues and diplomacy, your party members will chime in and react depending on your choices and what's being said.
My son, it is clear this woman has no intention of helping us.
I ask you to forgive these foreigners. They do not know our customs.
For example, Siora is a Tir Freddy native, fiercely protective of her people's rights. Sides strongly with someone antagonistic to the natives while in her presence, and an angry interruption may force your hand into bloodshed.
Don't tell me that you are going to humor this crazed assassin.
Be sure to pay close attention to your party members' needs. Each has their own story and unique personal quests. Ignoring them for too long may even cause them to leave the party. Petrus is a missionary of Thélème with a remarkable way with words and an outwardly fatherly nature that masks deep-rooted ambitions. Vasco, a captain of the Seafaring Naughts, is one of the more secretive, closed members of your party. Spend time with the captain and complete his personal questline, and he'll inevitably open up. Develop close friendships with all of your companions, and some may even lead to romance. Never forget, relationships in Greedfall can be as uncertain as the seas that ravage Tir Freddy's shores.
Constantine, I'm here. Pull yourself together.
Nothing said or unsaid can be taken for granted. Ultimately, the choices you make will shape the future of the island.
We didn't want this fight.
And the lives of all upon it.
You are too blind, too renegade to understand.